who's going to take this out. Let's see who is going to be on the top when they get to the end. It is 45k racing to go.
Well, as the final seconds count down, our blue jersey category 3 riders, they are away on the Wahoo Sunday Race Club. This is qualifier race number 4 in July. So away they go out of the start pen. Stretches on the group at the moment is Garin, who is at the front, and the pace is strong. We've already got one rider just dropped off the back there now. Any problems or issues at the start? A dropped water bottle, for example, can cause those challenges, but away go this group, and the pace is setting down a little bit now, around 3 watts per kilo on the front as the group all concertina together and become one large blue blob on the road.
And Emma, if you were racing in this, you drop the, say you've got a water bottle to hand, you drop your water bottle. I'm sure these riders maybe even have more than one, given the race distance. You drop your water bottle. Do you pick it up straight away whilst you've got a chance and the speed is high? Do you wait later in the ride? Do you maybe try and attack? How do you deal with that?
Well, I think it very much depends on what your setup's like and how many you've got. If you've got 3 water bottles in your room and you drop one, you've got 2 still to go. I'd be leaving the third on the floor. But if it is your only one, well, I think you have to foresee some of these issues of indoor riding. You know, you foresee maybe a puncture, you foresee other technical problems if you ride out on the road. You need that foresight to see what technical issues you might have on the Wahoo Sunday Race Club, and dropping a bottle or something such as that is one of the issues you might have with indoor riding. And, you know, being prepped for that is absolutely part and parcel of being on the race here. But if I had dropped my only bottle, well, I would probably be leaving it a little while. I'd probably put a big dig in, go off the front, pick the bottle up, and then hopefully jump back on the back of the pack.
Well, let's see if everybody gets back on. We don't know, of course, that was the issue, but it is a very common issue to have for our riders. Remember, of course, not everybody riding with a support team and crew beside them to help them out. Because,
yeah,
to be honest, that would be my issue.
Text somebody in your family or your household to come and pick it up for you.
Or your teammates. I mean, we know when we get to the top level of the sport that a lot of the riders will be riding with a manager or DS beside them to help them, to keep an eye. They'll be watching the live feed as well. So lots of action. Now, right-hand side of your screen looks like we've got one rider just starting to push clear. McCurry it is at the moment. So Brett McCurry opening up a little bit of a gap here with a 4.3 watt per kilo move. Hoyos is responding. He's coming across at 6 watts per kilo, so he clearly is intent on not missing the move here and being across. And now we're starting to see riders come across, and what you don't want to happen is to be at the back of that group and maybe miss a big group of riders going down as more and more people join that front break. You can see the pressure, the push going on, but riders not wanting to go too crazy. Now, Jan Dekker, a experienced rider, I think you can call him that now, the amount of time he's spent on the Sunday Race Club, he's definitely an experienced rider, but he's very good at riding within this group. You'll see him trying to make sure he's not expending too much energy here, still staying in and around the top. Now, the guys on the left of your screen, they are the riders in category 3 in the blue. They're a little bit further back. They're just approaching that 2K marker for the first of our sprint segments. And this is the Old Town Sprint, so 300 meters of riding to go. So the riders are on their way through. Now, remember, of course, these segments are all about giving us that snapshot, that window on the pace and the speed, the composition of the groups, the numbers of riders in there. During Sunday Race Club, they are not a sprint competition like we saw on the Wahoo Championship. If you want to see what happens when they become part of a sprint competition, then go and have a watch back. You can see the championship on Twitch TV and on YouTube. Please do have a look back. Get yourselves fired up because it's going to be amazing next year. So let's take a little look at those riders. I mean, you've got the numbers in front of you, I'm hoping, as they go through. I think Vag's Butts time in category 4 from memory was a 32-second time.
31 actually, as we take a look through there. So 31 seconds from category 4, but going through leading that pack. Now, category 3 were indeed slower than category 4, with a Bellows time leading category 3 through 33.9 seconds, so nearly 3 seconds slower than the Category 4 race field. As we see Mark Dadson pick up the pace on this Category 3 pack. It's been a slow start. He's not happy. He's away.
And he's on the climb. So as Dadson attacks, it's Maga coming back across. You've got a Bello behind there chasing. They're currently trying to get themselves back up with the lead. Now, Dadson, one of our regular attackers, and they've opened up about a 4-second lead on the riders behind. This is a pretty good move here as they come up onto the top of this first part of climb number 1. So whilst they might have had the slowest time through the sprint, all of a sudden that's been used to get a speed differential by the riders. And remember, of course, those sprints, I mean, they're not in the prize money. They are not part of what counts when it comes to our qualifiers or indeed our finals, because the prize money, as you can see, is for our qualifier races for individuals, and in the monthly final, which is of course next week, that is individuals and teams. Now, I'm hoping Emma has got the maths for at least some of these. I think from memory, 2000 AED is going to be, in fact, I can't remember. There you go. I'm going to wait for Emma to tell us.
It's £457 sterling.
So £457 sterling. Do you know that in dollars? US dollars? There you go. There's another random number for you.
Hold on a minute. You always ask me these things, don't you?
I do deliberately.
I've done one thing and you ask me something else.
Always.
Okay, so, in terms of US dollars, it's 588 as of this moment's exchange rate on Google.
588 US dollars or 2,160 AED. Now, first to fifth, individually in qualifiers, first to fifth individually, and first to fifth teams in the finals. The prize money ramps up. Category 3.
Yeah, it does indeed. It does indeed ramp up. And as the eagle-eyed amongst you who watched the women's race earlier will note, identical prize money between our men's and women's race fields. So Category 3, the individual classification in the qualifier race today, 3,600 AED for the win, down to 720 for 5th place. Team classification next week at the end of the month, 18,000 AED for 1st place.
A substantial amount of money to win as you go through. So you can see the prizes ramping up. What was first prize in Category 3 now dropping down the rankings. We get 6,000 AED for the individual winning Category 2. Subsequent lift in teams next week. So pays to be in those teams. Get those teams sorted out early. Get those team names in.
Yeah, so teams, of course, maximum of 5 members in your team. It's 3 riders times to count in that team classification. 30,000 AED for 1st place in Category 2 for that team classification. That is over 8,000 US dollars. So it is all on the line next week with both our individual and team classification in the monthly final. Now today, it's a qualifier race, and in Category 1, the first prize for today, 10,000 AED.
And that, to give you an indication, is a huge amount of money, but look at that team prize.
Yes.
Look at the team prize, 50,000 AED.
It is always really close, the team category in Category 1.
£10,589 sterling at the moment. If you were to be working in sterling, if you work in terms of Salvadorian colon, that is 119,000. There you are. I'm going to pick a random one each time, I think.
Well, why not?
Because we've got riders all around
the world.
So there you are. If you're in Salvadorian colors, that's where you are at. Yeah. We are on the way. Yeah, Emma, you're going to dive into Category 2, aren't you?
I am, but I was just going to say, in the May final, 9 seconds separated Category 1's first and second team prizes. But it is Category 2 we are in with on the start line now. And they are the next category due to be away. 2 teams today, the UAE Falcons and the Hitmen.
Indeed, my favourite team name of the day so far is the Hitmen.
Well, 36 riders on the start sheets today, and again, it's a really strong field. Parisi, Phillips, Quadrelli, Kranich, Swart, Bjarhead, Smythe, Simmons, Spratt, Alramethri. It's going to be a good one.
It is, and don't forget Simmons Sprat riding for the Hitmen, Hamdan Al Tanaj and Al Ramethri for the UAE Falcons. Let's see who is going to take this out. Who will take the win? Will the Hitmen score a number one today, or will they be at the bottom of the charts? It's time to find out. Here we go. Category 2, qualifier race number 4. We're away. The clocks are ticking. The time, the distance, and the riders' legs all spinning up as we head out onto the course.
So as the riders head out from the start pen, there's a little gap appearing already in the group. 1 or 2 riders just being distanced by the pace on the start here. Now Sprat very much part and parcel of that pack with Simmons, Cusimano, Kayan, Oviedo, Kranich, Von Haren. All of these riders well and truly in this leading bunch at the moment.
So this group are moving it out as one big pack, all the big names in there. Michael Suarez, Bert Kay and Henry Oyster just seeing go through. It looks to me like Dennis is in there, Kranich, Bjarhead, Van Haren. I'll tell you something, this is going to be a good one today. We have got an absolutely stacked field. Category 2, when I identify with, this is my category. I take ownership of this, even if at the moment I'm probably being category 5.
One of the things I'm wondering about this group today is whether we're going to see tactics play out, as in will the riders be practicing tactics that they might be using in the team competition next week. Now we have seen that from this group before. We've also seen that from category 3, and it's often interesting as riders come towards the end of the month to put their teams together and then actually ride together and test out the things they might try in the final.
Yes, I think that's a very interesting point. We have had teams do that before. We have had riders do that before, and we've seen that come into play. I think also with category 2, what we need to bear in mind is that this is one of those categories where we've got such a mix of riders because it's in the middle of the categories. You've got riders on the way up, you've got riders on the way down, depending on their training, their progress, where they are, how well they are, where we are in season. All those things all play in. And I think in the middle categories, you get that sort of flux because you get people going up and down. I think it's very, very dynamic. And yet, it's always feisty. It doesn't ever seem to be a complete sit-up from this group.
No, it is a really interesting point you mentioned there, Matt, because we do see movement between the categories. In fact, Khan Kayan has indeed come up from category 3 to category 2 this month. So has Swart. He's moved up. So we are seeing those movements within the groups, and that does play out differently when we start putting teams together for the final. Ilpino, for example, moving from this category into category 1 this month. So all of those team dynamics from the June final playing out differently in the July final.
Well, let's see how that plays out as we see a move from Joy Kaluma here. Now, if you were watching the women's race, you will know what happened in terms of tactics. We're not going to give you any spoilers here today, but very interesting to see that Joy Kaluma in category 4 has gone on the attack. He's got a 9-second gap or so on the main part of the group. He's not getting a massive response. Meanwhile, in the category 2, we're seeing another move go. This time it's Daniel Cadiz who's on the move. He's got Simmons, Bjarhead, and Parisi trying to chase at the moment, and you can see they're chasing by the numbers that are coming out, the watts per kilo. This is a game of numbers, remember. This is about putting the power down. It's being able to watch what other people are doing. You can't look over your shoulder and see them sweat. You can't look across to see whether they are in. You can't hear people breathing. Those numbers, that information, all part and parcel of knowing what esports is about. It's not the same discipline as road, track, mountain bike, or any other. Esports is esports. It is very different, and I think it's key to know that. Set of riders who do know that. Absolutely. Category 1, this contains our fastest riders of the day. It also contains our new riders in. Great to see some big teams in here. UAE Clan team, of course, are here. The Italian Gelato squad, Belgian Waffles represented, and Pane Racing as well, with Nicholas Pane representing them. for the first time. Good to see the new team names up on there. Interesting to see. I think the Italian Gelato squad and the UAE clan team will be looking again to play out those team tactics.
Well, they will indeed, but wow, again, a stacked field. Merzer, Martins, Vujassin, Van den Eckhout, Van Elst, Norren, Fawcett, Cutler, Graves, Hoyas, Darn, Knudsen, Popovic, Nair, Van Diem, Osborne, Kaminsky, and Bjorkland all in the mix today. So as the seconds ticked down, we've seen 2 Knudsen wins, 1 Osborne win this month. Who is going to make it today? Who is going to cross that finish line first from this Category 1 race field? They are up, they are away, they are out of the start pen. This is the Sunday Race Club. And what a race start. Mr. X100 absolutely leading them out here. 6 watts per kilo. That was some effort out the start pen. Jason Osborne taking up the mantle and heading over the top.
I'll tell you something, I think they're trying to stifle a Phil Graves kilometre zero attack because we know that Phil is likely to go on the offensive from the word go. It's very rare that these guys sit up the entire way into that final climb. There's always somebody prepared to have a dig at some point. But at the moment, we've got this run towards the climb. And this climb that comes up, it's not categorized, it's a rise. I think the word hillock is a great description from Emma, a mini hill. Basically, so the first one is a slight riser. It's a little bit bigger on the second of the climbs of the day, and then we start to move our way through the flatlands into towards the big climb to finish. But at the moment, this is about getting the pace down. It's about getting into that draft. Quick reminder for people who are new: if you're new watching, welcome to the Sunday Race Club. We have some great racing for you. We have 4 categories of riders racing it out for prizes within their individual categories. They're also looking to qualify for our finals at the end of each month. Each rider is able to see a screen very similar to the one that you're seeing at the moment, which displays their data on the top left-hand side of their screen. So that is the amount of watts they're producing and their watts per kilogram in terms of power to weight. That's top left-hand side. The watts are in green if they're in the draft. They're black if they're out of the draft and not saving energy by hiding behind somebody. It tells you the pedal cadence and the heart rate of the rider, so how fast they're pedaling, in this case 86 or so revs per minute, and a heart rate around about 135. You've got the speed travelled, currently speed travelling about 40 kilometers an hour, just hovering between 35 and 40. You can see that changing the clock, ticking up with the time of the race so far, and the distance travelled. Top right hand side of the screen, this is a great one from a racing perspective. You've got a satellite navigation view. The rider we're watching is the largest disc of the discs in there, and then each of those discs represents a rider. You can see whether the group's coming together. It's spread out. You see it's one bunch at the moment. You've got the gradient slide downhill into the minus 0.1 at the moment, 0%. So basically just leveling out. Then we're going to run into the climb and you'll see that increase. Further up we go, it'll go up into the red and black as we go into those bigger gradients. And you can see there's the course profile coming up. So you can see we're about to head into a rise, the rider's position indicated by that green arrow. You can also see in the long bar across a real quick visual indicator of how far we are into the race. We're approaching 2 kilometers of the 45k, and that yellow bar will steadily move its way from left to right across. Down the right hand side, the final bit of data the riders can see, they can see the riders that are around them. The rider we are watching is highlighted in purple. You can see that is Wagner Silva there, and you can see he's from Brazil, and you can see the riders around him. So there are time gaps, there are the riders' names, there is the country they're from, their position in the race overall. That includes all of the categories, and it also tells you how hard they're going. When it lights up in yellow, they're starting to dig deep. When it goes into the red, well, they're into that red zone. So the data that the riders get, really, really critical. It allows you and I and everybody watching to see what's going on as well. And lots of the riders will ride with the live feed that you're watching now and the data screen of the result screen, which we can see on our screens at the moment, and of course their riding screen too. Now the data screen that comes up, the result screen, really critical for taking a snapshot of the window, and Emma is poring over that screen right now.
Yeah, I am indeed. So the Old Town Sprint at the moment, the fastest time through was indeed our Category 2 riders. So Parisi, Simeons, Bjarhed, Von Haren, Spratt, Swart and East. 26-27 seconds. Now our Category 1 pack coming in from 8th in the fastest time, 28.4 seconds.
So you can just see a move started to go off the front, and we said they were trying to stifle an attack by Phil Graves. Graves in the red zone, Bjorklund right up there, and everybody trying to respond. And you see top right-hand side of your screen as we go over the water, which is in blue, there's a long dotted or yellow line, and that is the group stretching out. And it shows you, though, that Phil Graves is about to be joined. That solo dot at the front, seeing the rest of the group coming up. Now, it could be that we see a breakaway go clear. It could be as we go over the top, we see groups start to get distanced. If you are riding for the first time, we do say this regularly, and we really do mean this, don't lose heart if you're not in the very front of the racing category 1. This contains some of the world's superstars of the esports world. People like Zach now in there, Jason Osborne, we see people like Michael Vink who race on the continental world scene. Really have got the top of the tree in there. When you get separated out, you'll end up in a category, and it could be like Bernard Maga at the moment, who is currently in the lead of category 3. Started to open a gap on Alex Pledger behind of about 18 seconds. It could be that you're in category 4, 2, or you may be staying in category 1 if you have shown us that you are good enough to be there. But initially, everyone into category 1. It does mean some riders do get distance quite quick, but don't lose heart. Get those rides in, particularly on the Tune-Up Tuesday. It's your opportunity to jump in and get yourself into a category and get yourself into a race category by showing us what you can do on a Tuesday as well, and some great racing in there as well.
Well, absolutely, and interesting to see we've got a couple of new young riders joining the Category 1 race field today. Benjamin Brignall from Canada, under 23 rider, and Tom Breyer from Belgium. He's a junior rider still with some phenomenal performances, so really looking forward to seeing what he can do here today in this pack. And welcome to the Sunday Race Club. It's great to have you on board. Let's see what the racing unfolds.
Indeed, I'm really looking forward to seeing those youngsters, particularly when we hit the climbs, because when you go uphill, one of the really important numbers on my wish is the watts per kilo. Now that is
they haven't filled out yet, have they?
They haven't, and it's power to weight. Now, whilst they might not have the power of the bigger, older, stronger riders, they also generally don't have the same weight. They are just younger and smaller, and because of that, they have a great power to weight ratio. That means when the road goes skywards, generally they are at an advantage. However, it works the other way around as well, because a lighter rider will struggle to get back on. Now, Emma and I probably can give you a good indication of that, because if we are going up a big climb, so let's say we are in Australia where there's a big climb halfway through, or at the end of this climb, when you're going up the climb in Australia, you'll find that Emma has a much better power to weight ratio than me, because Emma is substantially lighter than I am. However, after all that suffering, if we get to the top of the climb and we're going down the other side, because I am heavier, just a little bit, honest Gov, generally it'll be Emma who's having to pedal, and you'll be pedaling much harder on that downhill.
Well, I always find that for a lighter rider riding with a heavier rider, downhills are always unfair because I have to pedal exceptionally hard to stay with the guys. If I go out with my cycling club or my race team, and you're out with the men, you have to pedal exceptionally hard to stay in the pack on the downhill whilst they are just coasting. Now, talking about just coasting, no one is just coasting here. We have packs on the road. Category 1 in yellow, a large pack now coming up for 5.5 kilometres. A smaller pack of Category 2 riders, because there has been a lot of action in Category 2 coming up for 9 kilometres of racing. 13.5 for Category 3 and Category 4 further down the road. So Ospina Hernandez is a rider who has progressed from Category 2 to Category 1. He's comfortably in the pack at the moment. We've got a bit of an attack at the moment going on at the front of this group. As they go under that banner, that is the banner for the finish of the second sprint segment here today, as we are in with X100 in this leading group of Category 1 riders. Now, Again, it's interesting, isn't it? That category 1 pack steady on the road, because it is category 2 still the quickest going through segment number 2. So Parisi leading this through 21.8 seconds. Then a plethora of green jerseys continuing down to 12th place, Nicholas Spratt. Then category 4, Soberg pushing on there. Khan category 2. In fact, it is the young rider Tom Breyer in 15th place, 24 seconds and 7.7, the fastest time from category 1.
So really interesting watching this. Henry Ace, the rider who was highlighted just by Emma, is the one on your screen now. Ace riding, of course, with his teammates Spratt and Simeons. They're the riders who are going to be working together as the Hitmen's team. Now, the teams at the moment, really, it's about riding together. It's about those bragging rights. It's about getting to know how you go. Maybe set your stall out. I mean, we see teams that are trying to be dominant on all sorts of scenes and set out that they are the best team, full stop. And that, I think, we are seeing once again.
Well,
and really interesting to see this.
Well, it's interesting to see that Simeons, Use's teammate, is actually on the front of the pack, pushing 5 watts per kilo. Well, perhaps they don't like the fact that we've got a rider, so Betty is looking to move across, and maybe they weren't keen that Betty was moving across. They wanted to send Ice up on the road on his own.
Or maybe an alternative scenario is that they're using this climb to try and spring clear the whole of the team by sending one rider up, then sending another, and then sending another. Basically, what they can do is bring a set of smaller group of riders and fracture this into 2 groups or 3 groups, and maybe that's what's happening.
It's lit the fire beneath that pack at the moment as Vujassin lights the fire in category 1. Vujassin pushes on at 7 watts per kilo here. He's sweeping round the bend on this downhill section and pushing hard to go away from this category 1 pack. So Vujassin pushing. Osborne is doing the chasing with Ospina, Hernandez, Knudsen, Darn, Graves, Bjork and Kirchner and Cutler are all lined out behind, but this is Vujassin pushing on.
It is indeed. I'm wondering whether he's got a reason to push here to try and go clear, to try and open the gap here, because it's very early in the stage of today's racing to move through. As we go past Munoz at the moment, Steven Munoz in category 2, just being
caught. This is interesting, Matt. Yeah. This is Ilpino doing the chasing. Now, Ilpino has come up from category 2. He has not raced with this category 1 pack before, and he's chasing Vujassin down.
He is, and we've got Osborne responding to it. Osborne doesn't want to let this go, and Osborne is, we know, an absolutely class act. A little bit of background. Jason Osborne is an Olympic medalist. He is an Olympic medalist in rowing, but he's also a rower who has a phenomenal bike career as well.
Yes.
Racing for the professional teams, for the De Koenig squad, racing right up at the very top level, and he's absolute class, and a rider who has proven himself time and time again on my whoosh. He's joined by Zach Nair, another rider, a rider who we know is a top class in the world of esports. You've got Tim Cutler up here, another rider who has shown time and time again he's capable of going with the moves. And Michael Knudsen, really interesting, already having to show his colours by going up the road. Now, the UAE clan team that we have Michael Knudsen riding for, quite often they would chase that down with somebody like SS or Mistakes 100. It's been, at the moment, Knudsen who's doing the chasing here. Is this a change in tactics?
This is 5 riders away, you know, Matt. There's 5 riders clear, and the quality of these riders is astounding. Cutler, Osborne, Knudsen, Vujassin and Nair. Now, this would be amazing. Let's not forget, 12 different riders in this category have taken top 5 places in the previous 3 qualifiers. The strength and depth in this category 1 race field is outstanding.
It is indeed, and you can see why these riders are worried. Look at the top right-hand side of your screen, dot to dot coming across. That is very telling. Pim Van Diemen, who was chasing as we left that screen in the Lonely Castle Sprint, coming across with the fastest time. If you look at that screen, The fastest times have not come from Knudsen or Nair or Osborne up at the front. They've come from the chasers behind who are trying to close that gap down. And that is very telling. And if you look at the numbers, when we're seeing 7 watts per kilo, that is not an easy day at the office for anyone. We're in with Pim van Diemen, the man who took that fastest time going through. He's made it across to this leading group, and we're seeing riders in 1s and 2s trying to get across. I think the latest rider is Pablo Popovic trying to get across the group. There he goes. So that's Popovic just joining with the black helmet and black shoes. Then it's going to be Mayer and Graves coming in on board. And I think that group's coming back together in Category 1. I think they might have lost a few bodies off the back, but I'll tell you something. If you talk about matches being burned, there's a lot of matches burned there.
Well, 28 riders in that leading group currently in Category 1. We talked about strength and depth with 10 kilometres into this race. 28 riders, and on the top right-hand corner of your screen, you can see how spread they are down the road. What a fabulous shot, just showing that pack and the stretch on it, and the numbers keep flashing in amber and red, indicating the effort these riders are putting in to get to the front of that group and stay in the front of the group as the gradient starts to go up.
It does indeed. It starts to go up. I mean, we came through the Lona Castle Sprint. That's to the base of the second biggest climb of the day. We then go right the way to the top, and in fact the summit comes in at 12.5k, so they've got about 2 kilometers of uphill, not of a massive climb, but 2k, and there are limited opportunities to do damage today except for the final climb. So this is a prime moment, a prime time, and anyone who had looked at that course profile and doing your homework is really key when you're racing this level will know that this is a moment in time where you have to be attentive and right up there. Martin's moving up. We're just in with Tim Cutler at the moment, somebody who really has progressed. I mean, it can't be long, I think, before we see Tim Cutler taking a win on the Sunday race. Jakob Björklund in there, Pim van Diemen in there. You know, Demon, again, another rider who we'd expect to be right up at the front, and again, who's almost begging to take that win. You can just see the pressure is on. These riders are really continue to squeeze, and riders behind know they need to be with this group. Remember, 12.5k is the top now. Riders will tend to attack at the base or at the top, but another move going off the front. Somebody stretching the legs out, not letting it. We saw that pause. We see the counter attack, that counter move going. 3 riders just starting to pull clear, but the response comes, and you can see Cutler here working his way up. We're riding in with Cutler with the white helmet at the front of this chase here at the moment, working his way through, trying to get the pace high. We're watching the chase, and the chases of Phil Graves, Jason Osborne, and Johan Noren, 3 riders who I would not want to let go clear anywhere, any time of day, because once they go, you've got a big job to close them down.
Well, Graves is on the attack, and Graves is going. He's putting a big kick in there and seeing who's coming too. The Avatar's looking over his shoulder. I don't think Graves is looking anywhere at the moment other than forwards, because Van Diemen has come up, so has Noren, so has Osborne. This is an absolute argy-bargy out there at the moment as Knudsen continues to push. So does Cutler, Van Diemen, Popovic, Martins, Montoya is here as well as Nair. Wow, they just keep giving.
They do, and they're just keeping on putting those watts down. This is a much reduced group. I don't think there's 28 in there now.
Not at all.
By
They've
the look of it,
riders.
They have now. We'll wait for our next snapshot. There's one coming at the top of this climb. That is at 12.5 to 12.8k. Basically, as we go over the summit of this climb, as Noren pushes once again. Noren up at 7.5 watts per kilo, 600 watts coming out from Johan Noren. Now being joined Jason Osborne, again very quick to respond. Phil Graves, they want to get a move clear. They're trying to pull this group apart. They're trying to fracture it. They do not want to let this come together as they come into the climb. And by getting a gap now, by breaking up the group, by putting the hurt on the slopes that are not steep climbers gradients, they're going to be making those climbers work really hard, and maybe they might just take that edge off before they come into the finish. So let's take a look at the numbers, first of all, of riders coming in through underneath the gantry here, because they're going to come through. They've started the sprint at 12.8k that will finish. We'll look at how many riders, and we're going to look at how fast they're all going and just how hard they're going, because this constant attacking on the climb Has it done what they want? Now, Knudsen attacking over the top, in fact, here. So Knudsen knows that when they go here, we've got this little bit of a rise at the end, and then it will start dropping. I think we're going to find a massive set of numbers out from Michael Knudsen in terms of watts. He's up at nearly 600 watts on that initial kick. He's just dropped to 5, but who's gone with him? It's Jason Osborne who's gone with him, so the dynamic duo off the front. But look at this. Going over the green path sprint at the top of the climb. Interesting mix there.
Yeah, it is an interesting mix because first rider category 2, second rider category 3, third rider category 1, then 2, then 4, then 2, then 1. It is absolutely a mix and match. So all 4 categories represented in the top 12 times through there, from 25 seconds from Henry East in category 2 down to 28 seconds for Sergio Hoyas in category 3.
And I make it 24 riders left in the leading group at the moment in category 1. So we were on 28. I make it 24. I stand to be corrected on that because I think we've got Il Pino a couple of seconds off and Ospina just struggling with the pace there as they came through Mare and Medowitz also. So definitely more than 20, definitely not 28. So we are shedding bodies, but that is a constantly evolving situation. It's a little bit more stable in category 4 in the red, but category 2 is very much following the pattern of category 1 here, or maybe it's leading the pattern because they are up the road.
They did start first, and Kranich there now at the head of that race. So Kranich, Simeons, 1 and 2. It's looking like a group of 4, so it's looking like Von Haren and Bjarhed are there. Cusimano is there as well. Spratt is there too. So this is all coming back together again, actually, in this group at the moment. On this flat run, you can see on the top right-hand corner of your screen before they reach the next climb. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders, and just coming back onto the group. Another one as we flip over to category 4. 2 riders doing the attacking here in category 4. So Kaluma is the rider pushing on at the front, but just 2 seconds separating them from the chase group behind. We've got Hoyas trying to come across in no man's land at the moment, but trying to make the juncture to the leading 2. I think this is all going to come back together again. They are not yet at 25 kilometers of racing, 42 minutes of racing under their wheels. This category 4 group, they are the leaders on the road at the moment, and they were the first race field to start today.
Great to see all of our categories having a fantastically competitive race. And don't forget, you can come in and join, and we'd really love to see you on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So there's a little bit of time now before qualifier race number 1. That's going to be in 2 weeks' time. So perfect timing right now to download the app. Once the racing finishes and you finish watching today, jump on board, download the app. It's available on iOS, on Windows, and on Android. So whether you're running on a Google phone, whether you're running on an iPhone, whether you're running on a PC, a laptop, whatever you're running on, download it. It's really simple. If you have any issues on the way through, get in touch with support. They're really fast to respond. They look after you, and whatever your system, there's so many billions of combinations of system out there these days. They are able to help you and get you up and running. Jump on board, get them riding, and come and join us racing. We'd love to see you out on racing, get on those qualifiers, getting ready to race. Phil Graves has been here pretty much since day one. I think he's probably missed about 4 in about 3 years. You don't necessarily need that level of dedication, but you know what? We always love it when people enjoy it so much.
Yeah, but you also get to meet people from all around the world, other riders that you can ride with on the Sunday Race Club, and other events and workouts on the MyWhoosh platform. You can meet people from all over. We've got riders in here from Colombia, from the Middle East, from Australia, from Ireland, from Belgium, from Scandinavia, from all around the world coming together. Now, if you do want to join the Sunday Race Club, head over to the events page on the MyWhoosh website, click on the Sunday Race Club, and you will find some documents there. You will find the technical guides, you will find the rules, and you will find frequently asked questions to help you get set up and ready to race. You can also head over to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel and take a look at the races that have already been completed. It will give you an indication of the race fields, the tactics, the routes, etc. Take a watch, put your feet up, have a coffee. It's doing research and homework for Racing the Sunday Race Club.
It is indeed. So let's have a little look and see who's doing the business today. Well, it is pretty much everybody. I mean, I can't remember, Emma, when we've had a time when all four categories have been so active. It is a particularly aggressive race here in the men's race here today.
Well, it's an innocuous course, isn't it?
Ooh, you think? Now,
I
that's
do.
an interesting statement. And so you think this is an innocuous course. I think this is, I don't know about innocuous, but certainly I would agree, I think, with the sentiment that an easier course promotes more racing because more people think they have a chance.
Well,
and there's more chances to break clear. If it's brutally hard, it just becomes survival.
We were in Colombia last week with a phenomenally long Category 2 climbs at the end. The Hebel Hafit was the week before. Qualifier 1 was the Australia Outer Loop, which is a technical course in its own right. But then the men's final in June was the Hebel Hace. So, 3 out of the 4 of those races have been really long climbs. I mean, 900 to 1,000 metres of climbing on those courses. Today we've got 506 metres of climbing. So pretty much half the climbing that we had last week. Now, I think you look at that and you think, oh, well, that's going to be an easy ride till we get to the end, and then it's a hard 5K till the finish line. But the quality of this race field, you cannot take 28 riders into the final 5.5 kilometres because they are all capable of racing hard for 5.5 kilometres. Eyeballs out, and there's such a fine distance between their abilities. They've got to go early and they've got to make this race hard. And Knudsen here and Graves, are absolutely doing this at the moment. So Phil Graves pushing on again with Vidal Mayer. Knudsen coming across to them because he doesn't want to let them go. Neither does Osborne.
No, he doesn't. And I think that for me is really indicative of what we're saying. It's not brutal. It's not survival. There's enough lumps and bumps to keep these riders on their toes. And it's not pancake flat. It's always changing. So that variation in terrain is really testing these riders out. And it's absolutely begging for a breakaway to go. It's a bit like the start. If you've been watching the Tour this year, it's been absolutely brutal. The Tour de France has been on. It has been one of the best Tour de France's probably for a long, long time, if not ever. It's been really great to see. But what has been really telling, that whole Tour has been a bit like this. It's taken ages to get breaks to go because everybody feels that they're in with a chance, because everybody wants it. Everybody thinks they've got a good chance of getting it, and they all want to be up there. And we're seeing that again. I mean, just look at the speed that these riders are hurtling through this segment. This is not a slow time through this segment. That is quick. 300 metres coming through on the East Route Sprint. It's at the top of a raise after a climb. It's still motoring, and it's so tight. It's really, really close. Kaminsky going through there, 23.734. But the big numbers that I'm looking at, 553
I
watts
know,
from
look
Kaminsky.
at it, 7.9 watts per kilo. They were attacking and attacking and attacking through there.
And if you're not on the attack, you're answering the attack or you're out the back.
Yeah.
So you've got to be on it. You cannot let the group go. You can't let them go down the road. You're going to struggle to close it. It's just brutal. And it may well be that this is going to mean that the midsection, remember Category 1 at the moment at 20k, the section between the early climbs and the big climb at the finish, you may well see a little bit of an easing. If that happens, though, the mood these riders seem to be in and the racing it's generated, for me, means somebody else is just going to have a go. That's Category 1 on the left. Category 4 on the right. They're the riders furthest up the road. They are approaching the 28k mark. In fact, they hit it right now. They've exactly the same thing happening. We are seeing moves going off the front. We're seeing riders being pulled back because this is really aggressive racing. And at the moment, they're showing no signs of easing off. Bear in mind that they are currently coming up to what is the final riser before they come in to the finish. So they have got the final rise, this little climb that they're about to hit now. That is the final lift and drop before you come in to the finish of any note. So it's the final chance to maybe break clear and get a little bit of room before you come into the main climb, or the final chance to put some hurt on to somebody who's maybe better on the really steep gradient.
Well, I'll tell you something, there's 22 riders in that Category 4 leading pack at the moment. So at 28.4 kilometres into this race, they really have not lost a lot of riders from that pack. 20 riders I can confirm currently in the Category 1 leading pack. So this is looking like whoever is doing the attacking, the packs are still coming back together, whether that is in Category 1 or indeed in Category 4.
Great racing as always, and I think maybe been lost in all of our analysis here, Emma. Are we seeing Renato Sartorio Ramos saving his blisteringly out of the gun attack for the final climb? Well, maybe he's reversed his tactics round.
Well, who knows? It's going to be very interesting to see. But can I just say, before I lose the opportunity, going back to the conversation about the Tour de France, we have yet to update our viewers on where we stand at the moment on the final day of the Tour de France in our fantasy Tour de France teams.
Well, I tell you what, I'm just going to let's just see if something goes clear on Academy 2.
I can do this really quickly.
No, let's just watch the racing for a second longer, shall we? I'm hoping Emma's going to forget about it. So we're just watching Joe's Classic. We will go back to Fantasy Tour de France Leagues in a moment, but another attack, another move being made, another breakaway trying to go clear, being closed down. The massive riders going from the back to the front. We've seen this time and time again in the Tour de France. I think this attack, I mean, you can see the numbers are up there in the road. We've seen it nearly 9 watts. In fact, we've seen over 9 watts per kilo go in this attack here. They don't want to let this go together. This is at 23.6K. This is not even registering just about as a bump. It's like the printer on my course notes blipped.
Well,
you know, like there was a tiny little seismic jump in the room on the course map, but they're using it.
I'll tell you what this is. This is the Hitmen.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
hitting it hard. So the Hitmen hit it hard with Spratt and Simmons. Bjarhead is matching it. Von Haren and Kane Cusimano are trying to cover this move at the moment because the Hitmen's team of Simmons, Uis and Spratt are absolutely going for it. And take a look at those caps. Oh, I love those caps. They are amazing. The caps being currently worn by the 3 riders out front at the moment. The white cap with the red dotted peak. It's Spratt and Simmons. Cusimano and Bjarhead have joined them and gone up over the top. So 4 riders clear at the moment, 2 seconds back to the gap.
So really active race here with Spratt and Simmons on the front, again breaking this race up. Critical moment here in the Category 2 race. Team tactics being brought into effect. And one of the key things to remember, riders on MyWhoosh have the ability to communicate in the game. You don't need a separate program. You don't need to log on to something different. You can communicate in game. Now, all the riders in the game can communicate with each other if they are individuals. So there is the option to switch your mic on and talk to each other as individuals. But if you are in a team, you register in a team, you talk to your teammates. You can keep your tactics secret and away, so you don't need to worry about whether you're attacked by the crocodiles or the lions are going to be brought back in because it's broadcast on TV. It's private, no one else can hear you, and you can organize what you're doing. And I think we've seen the Hitmen utilizing that in Category 2. We know that the UAE clan team always work as a team, and they are so well coordinated. Their communication is second to none.
Well, it's Vidal there that's gone down the road in Category 1 at the moment. He is the rider 4 seconds down the road, currently riding with Eduardo Parisi, the Category 2 rider. You can just see those about to go into that right-hand bend. This is the chasing pack in Category 1. Van den Eckhout, Popovic, X100, Noren, Martins, Van Diemen, Cutler, Bjorklund, Graves, Knudsen. I could keep going. It is a class field this today, and it is giving us class racing, attack after attack after attack. Will Vidal Mer stay clear, or will the group come back to him?
Well, it doesn't look like there's a concerted response, and now we're seeing Mr. X100 start to stretch out, and really interesting to see Mr. X100 has, biggest news of the day, ditched the red bandana. He's gone for a black helmet with
incognito.
Maybe so. That's going to make life interesting when we're trying to call it. I've spent the last 2 years talking about the man in the red bandana. Well, it looks like it's not the case this time around. So very interesting to see a change of kit there for him as he makes his way down this straight, chasing Vidal Mare, and it's Mr. X100 who's doing the work. Look at the gap, time gap there. It's hovering about 3 or 4 seconds, and I hate to break it to Vidal Mare, but if you're one rider up against the UAE clan team, you're not necessarily going to think you're going to make it. I certainly wouldn't.
Well, whether they make it or not is we are about to see as X100 leads the charge at 6.7, 6.8 watts per kilo. He is hunting Mare out front and bringing him back in, but he is also bringing the group behind him with him and up on to that wheel in front.
Well, let's see who will take this out. Mr. X100 clearly doing the work there for the UAE clan team. Going to bring this back, I suspect. Gap down to 1 second. And this is where you've got to be really careful. You've got to watch out for a counter attack on the way over the top, because that is what has to be the tactic of everybody else. Once that group comes back together, put another counter attack in over the top. Watch out for culprits like Osborne, like Graves. They're the riders likely to go over the top and go on the offensive. In fact, I think that was quite prophetic, because that's probably my best prediction of the day. Phil Graves has gone on to the attack. If only I could do that on the Fantasy Tour League. So come on, Emma, put us out of the misery whilst Phil Graves is doing his traditional attack. What happened in the Fantasy Tour League? How much did I win by?
You didn't.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, 510 points difference. I have indeed won, unless something dramatic happens today, I have indeed won the Fantasy Tour de France.
So, I'm going to take something from this, because do you know what I am? Because I'm in second place, I am in the same place as Tadej Pogacar in the UAE team. So Tadej is going to come second in the tour, expected songs of.
Yeah, but you've come
today.
last.
No, I've come second between us. I'm going to go for second. It might be first loser, but it's still second.
Well, you're the only loser, because there's only 2 of us. We'll have to expand this out, I think, next year, because I, of course, am very pleased because I did pick the right Yates brother. Because I do have second and third place overall at the moment.
So you've got Tadej and Adam Yates.
And Adam Yates. They were my 2 UAE team riders.
They were. And do you know what? I have to say, it's been an absolute pleasure watching the aggressive racing, the strength of character of the UAE team. Make sure you give the men's team a follow in the men's competition, the UAE Emirates team. Give them a follow on social media. Give the women's team a follow if you've been enjoying the men's racing. Don't forget, it is the Tour de France FEM, so the women's Tour de France team, and the UAE ADQ team are going to be in action there, and the development riders from both squads are in action all the time. Give them a follow, give them a watch, give them your support, because they're supported by My Whoosh, and it's great to see them in action. Don't forget, of course, all those Tour de France workouts still available. Who's been doing their training? We're going to find out. Our riders are well and truly spread out on the course now.
They are indeed, and a little bit like the Tour de France this year, there's the opportunity to follow your favourites on the My Whoosh Sunday Race Club. There's opportunities to follow world-leading riders and also your local riders across all the categories. I'd back James Shaw and Tom Pidcock, both local to us here in the UK, seen them both develop through youth, junior into international racing. I'm sure you have your local favourites here on the Sunday Race Club, as well as those international riders you can't help but watch.
So let's keep an eye on those riders that come through, and we can pick some of our youngsters, people like Cam Winfield that we've seen. We've got our new youngsters joining us this time around, as well as some of the old established grizzled favourites. I've got to say, that is somebody who's definitely in the old and grizzly category most of the time. And don't forget, of course, all of this coming to you not just on the YouTube channel, but on the Twitch TV. It is My Whoosh Live on Twitch TV. Please do jump on there. Some great graphics. You can watch it simultaneously whilst riding, and don't forget, of course, jump on But we've got some great racing, whether you are in category 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you don't know which category you are, jump on and ride and come and join us. It's really, really great to see you when you're racing. Don't hesitate to get in touch as well. We love to hear your stories. You can get in touch with me. It's at Matt Fixer Payne across social media, on Strava, pretty much everything out there. It's really easy. Matt Fixer Payne. You can get in touch with Emma. Emma, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Biking Emma.
And send Emma pictures of your pain cave.
Oh, yes, please.
The one with your turbo trainer in it, not anything else. Please send her those in and let Emma have a look. She'd love to know whether you're on a smart bike, on a turbo trainer, how many fans you've got, what the cooling's like,
whether you're
size
indoors,
of screen,
whether you're outdoors, whether you're with your teammates, whether you're on your own, whether you've got your dog lying at your feet or your cat being annoying, trying to get out of a cat flap whilst you're riding. I like all of that type of information.
Yep. Whereas for me, I want to know what you're racing on. I want to know where you're out and riding. I want to go see those pictures of you on the bike. And of course, I want to make sure that we keep up with what you're doing, because that helps us keep us and everyone else informed on this. And don't forget, of course, you can catch up with us across a plethora of events as well. We are here putting words to the action on a really exciting race here on My Wishes. Michael Nussen looks to get across to the riders just in front of him. He's pushing, he's trying to use the draft of riders in category 2. He's using the slight advantage that gives you as you come up behind other riders to just try and get that kick here by using the draft. It doesn't matter whose it is, get it used, try and break clear. We also put words to the action to lots of different disciplines. But the one here today that we're keeping an eye on is, of course, our category 1 race. This is the fastest riders on the course, and they're the fastest through the sprint. There's none of this going through only at the fastest at the last. They are motoring once again. Kaminsky again, very quick today. Mayer, Eckhout, Bjorklund, Martins, Popovic, Montoya, Walter Noren, Vidakowicz, Vujasin, and Graves. Big range of numbers, though, there. 5.1 watts per kilo, right the way through to 7.2, and a huge range of heart rates as well. 142 right through to the high 170s. That is a massive range of different different abilities and different levels of commitment.
Well, I'll tell you something, category 1 are really motoring now. 18 riders in this leading group. They are shedding riders and pushing on hard, because it's, wow, nearly 5 seconds difference over that 300 meters to the category 2 pack. And we know the category 2 pack with Spratt, and Simmons were pushing on hard and attacking. So the pace of this category 1 race really lighting up now. That 18 rider lead group on the left hand side of your screen, they're coming up for 29 kilometers. On the right hand side of your screen, this is the category 2 pack. Do you know what? They are coming up for 31 kilometers. So 2 kilometers now separating category 1 leading group from the category 2 leading group as this race really starts to wind up.
Right. Time to
chill.
Yeah, it's the first time I think we've had a moment where the group's just like, yeah, let's have a little think about what we're going to do. It's not going to last, because we're coming up to the top of the climb and then we're going to go into a downhill, so they're just going to push over the top again. But this incessant racing can't continue all the way in. As we approach 30k, let's take a look at what we've got in front of our riders, because this is now really developing into a fight for selection to be there at the end. We're at 30 kilometers, so basically you can see we've gone right the way through most of the yellow. We've gone through all of our sprints here, and we are heading in towards that heritage climb. Now let's talk about this climb, Emma, at 39k. We're on our way into it. We've got a few bumps on the way in, but really now this race is surely going to be decided on the climb. This is not 5.3%, which is what it says on there, is it? Because that is very deceptive. It might be the average gradient, but it's not the gradients that are going to matter.
No, it is very deceptive. It does say it's a 5.3% average gradient over a 5.5 kilometre climb. But as you can see, there are some very steep sections. There are also some flat sections and some downhill sections on this climb. We will see the gradient kick 10, 11, 12% quite regularly under the rider's wheels. But it's not a long climb. We are not looking at a 15-kilometre climb like we have done in the other qualifying races. This is 5.5 kilometres. Now, for me, it is absolutely key how many riders they take into this climb in the leading pack. If this pack of 18 riders go into the base of this climb in this Category 1 race, you know, we could even see a sprint finish.
Not a chance. Not a group sprint. Maybe 2 riders, 3 riders together, but I think because of the power that's required, those that top end kick and that rest, and the repeated nature of it is going to break up. Now, just look at these screens. Category 3, somebody's just dropped a grenade in them because they've absolutely blown apart.
Well, I think that's Alex Pledger.
Wow. Now, I thought we might see Alex Pledger on the attack on the climb. He's gone early here, and he's actually gone at 36.1k. Now, this is across the bridge here, and I think this is another case. I mean, look at the size of this group. Watch the volume of riders in blue going up. They have collected a rider from Category 4 on the way through. I think that is going to be Michael, who's dived in there. So Michael Marcus Sedner, who's joined in from Category 4, just trying to catch a lift with this Category 3. But this is a huge group.
It is.
And again, taking this in to that climb is very, very risky. Category 3 currently at 36.5. Category 4 are still 1.1k in front, so 1,100 meters in front. That's still a reasonable gap to say we've covered just approaching 38 kilometers.
Yeah, well, I think we may well see Category 3 catch Category 4 on that climb. But at the moment, we're watching Simmons and Spratt trying to ride away from this Category 2 pack. Kranich is there as well. Bjarhead is covering the moves. So they are not being allowed their own way. But this group is a lot smaller now than our other category lead packs.
It is indeed. This is probably the smallest group we've got on the in terms of the lead, and have had for pretty much all race, and even with the attacks going in. But this is really, really tough today on Category 2. They've broken this apart. They've smashed it apart. Meanwhile, Category 1, we're seeing a break go down the road. Again, more race action from our riders on My Wish on the Sunday Race Club. This time round, well, the irrepressible Phil Grace has company in the shape of the Swedish rider Jakob Björklund, and Björklund has been increasingly aggressive at race after race, and this may well be them trying to change the makeup of the race. Behind, I'm not seeing a concerted chase. I can see them holding them, but when you look at the numbers of the chasers, Vandenik out, Osborne, Matoya, Popovic, Kaminsky, Mr. X100, we're seeing 3s, 4s, 5s. Graves and Björklund, they are pushing and continuing to push at 4.5 to 5.5 watts per kilo. That means that they are pushing this attack home.
Well, Björklund did indeed have a 4th place in qualifier, race number 1 in July. That was the Australian Outer Loop, where it is a hard first half race to the top of the climb, and then it's important whoever goes over that top of that climb in that pack is likely to go in for the sprint, and Björklund was there at the finish line. He took 4th place. So Björklund on good form this month. As we drop back into Category 4, this is Acevedo. Acevedo is attacking on the run in to the base of the climb. The base of the climb coming at 39 kilometers. That's it. He's under the banner of the Heritage Climb. Acevedo goes under the banner first on the My Wish Sunday Race Club. The chase is now on. Noguera, Gutierrez, Estorga, all behind Decker, Hoyas, Mendoza, all in there. You can see that pack of red jerseys behind him up the mountain as the gradient starts to go skywards.
So here we go, we're on the climb. This is the run up to the summit. This climb, a total distance for the climb itself of 5.5k. But remember, we've got a further 500 meters to our finish line. and that is at the 45-kilometer marker. Now, leaders on the road, they're in front of you at the moment. The riders are working hard to try and close down the gap to our leader at the moment. But at the moment, Castano Acevedo is the rider who has got the lead. So, Jon Alex Astana Acevedo, the lead rider, 6-second lead on the chasers behind. In category 3 behind, they are working hard. Alex Pleasure has continued to push. He's got the gap. Oh, he's going to come on to the climb with the gap. Now, Pleasure is not somebody who I instantly think climber. What I think is a really strong, powerful rider who has the ability to kick and kick again. And I think it's dangerous giving him this time gap. He's taking the right-hand turn. He's going to hit that banner in about 200 or so meters. When he does, he knows he's got kick, rest, kick, rest, kick, rest for 5K.
Well, interesting to see, Pleasure, you're following the same tactics as we saw in category 4.
Yep.
Attack before the base of the climb, so you're going in with a gap. Now, Pleasure going in with a bigger gap now, 6 seconds as he goes underneath the banner. It's Staples doing the chasing with Guar in there. Dadson is there. They are... I'm looking at the right-hand side of my screen and seeing those names constantly rotating, because this is a huge category 3 bunch.
And they are attacking, they're jumping up, they're jumping further forward. You're seeing the move here, Jack Staples. Look at the volume of riders who have dived into the red. The road went up, the tarmac pointed to the sky, and the riders have put their foot to the floor, and now they're pushing. They are trying to bring Pleasure back, and they're going to be on his heels. They've got him, so that work done by Pleasure eradicated in the blink of an eye, and it's Staples who's now at the front of the race. It was the work by Staples who brought him back. The rest of the riders have been able to benefit from that, and we have a big pack back together in category 3. Category 1, we're still seeing the moves, but at the moment I think we're going to see Graves come back with Bjorklund. That gap is coming down now, and you can see at the moment it's only 2 seconds for the two riders out the front. They're at 34.9k. They've still got what is basically 4 kilometers to the base of the climb that we're seeing our category 3 and 4 riders already ascending well onto the lower slopes.
Well, Bjorklund and Graves still clear. They're leaving them out at the moment. They are hanging out by a thread. Kaminsky, Popovic are all in this group. Knudsen, Cutler, Vanden, Eckhout, X100, Mayer, Walter is here as well as Van Diemen. It is absolutely a who's who chasing the two riders down the road, and we've picked up a couple of category 2 riders as well. Kayan is here and Cadiz. They are taking the tow, and it is some tow that this group is giving them, but those category 2 riders are having to work hard to stay in the draft at the moment because Osborne is here with Vujasin. But the pace has come off a bit. Take a look at Osborne's stats, which you can see on the top left-hand side of your screen. Currently, Osborne's heart rate 136. Now, that is not working hard for Jason Osborne, as he puts a bit of a dig in, because that gap is getting bigger. You know, Bjorklund and Graves now out to 6 or 7 seconds, and they will soon be seeing riders in front of them down the road as they continue to traverse this course today.
I tell you one man who in this group has really impressed me today is Michael Kaminsky, because Kaminsky has been racing hard all week. He was racing hard yesterday. He's put in a big set of rides this week, and yet he's still right up in the mix. So sometimes riders go better coming off that harder section, not actually getting too much rest, but just continuing that workload. Really interesting to see. He's right up in here. He's not managed to necessarily to go clear, but he has been hovering in exactly the right spot in and around. He's been quickest through some of those sprints as well, and at the moment he's in position. Graves is here. He's now being brought back into the fold. Osborne, Popovic, Knudsen. You've got Montoya, you've got Walter, you've got real who's who of riders. They are picking up riders as well in category 2, and that for me is really telling. If the category 2 can stay with this group, then that means that this group is A, big, and B, it is not on a climb, because if it's on the climb, that is where it will really tell. Now, just about 1.5 kilometre a half up the road. It's a little bit further, 1.6 up the road. It is the riders in Category 2 who are up in the lead. That's Bjarne van Haren, Cusimano. You're just riding in with Nicholas van Haren on the right of your screen as we ride it with Michael Kaminski on the left. These riders are now on their run in towards the climb. It's the run to Elephant Rock and then through. You can just see the Elephant Rock in front of our Category 1 riders. The trunk reach down to the floor. In front of them, the Category 2 riders already motoring their way out and away. And at the moment, they are looking like they are going to stay clear, at least onto the lower slopes. Remember, a 5-minute head start. Now, further down the road, or should I say up the road, it is Tom Gates, who has not only climbed up the road, but he's climbed clear of the rest of the riders in Category 3. Tom Gates, your leader on the road, on your screen at the moment, just on one of these slight downhills. He's going to go up onto the bridge. He's going to have a little bit of company. He's in the company of that early kick from the lineman, Robert Cronje. Cronje, the rider who set off fast in Category 4. He's with Gates at the moment. Gates leading out Category 3. Category 4, though, the leaders, they are further up that hillside. And
Well,
this is not that far, is it, Emma?
They're less than 500 metres up that hillside. Actually, Matt, as Gates continues, he will now start to work his way through the entirety of the Category 4 race field. Each rider he sees will give him motivation to make the catch. As we can see, the motivation behind being led by Staples to catch Gates. So Staples working hard to catch Gates. Guarin and Roncalli are there as well. In fact, I think that is Jack Staples' head you've just seen bobbing on the screen behind Gates as they bring him back, and Roncalli, who has been on real form this month, coming through to make the catch. So Gates now brought back in, and the pack leading now in Category 3 as we drop back over to Category 1. They're not on the main climb at the moment. They're on this small climb before we get to it. And look at the stretch here.
We've got two groups starting to form here. The attack by Mr. X100 has pulled clear Jason Osborne. It's pulled clear his teammate, that is Michael Knudsen. It's pulled clear a number of riders behind. The pressure is on because it's 5 seconds back to riders like Lionel Vujasin and Pim van Diemen. They all need to get across that gap. Martin's currently about 8 seconds down by the look of it. And this leading group of Knudsen, Mr. X100, Michael Kaminski, Jason Osborne in here, they are the riders who currently have the front of the race. They are going to push on here. I can't imagine that Mr. X100 and Michael Knudsen at this stage in the racing, as they approach the base of the climb, are going to ease off. They know that if it comes back together, they've got Popovic in that chasing group, currently getting a bit of rest, hiding, I'm sure, in behind the rest of the riders. But Mr. X100 is going to hit these slopes with his teammate Michael Knudsen, with Jason Osborne, with Christian Montoya in that pack. This is going to be very interesting. 6 seconds now, the gap, as they go underneath the polka dot banner to signify the start of the Heritage Climb.
Well, it is the start of the Heritage Climb, and 5.5 kilometres, an average gradient of 5.3% is deceptive because it will top 10, 11, 12%. And you know, we've got some class riders in here. I'm just taking a little look at Christian Montoya, you know, mountains classification winner in the Villeta at Ecuador earlier on. Well, that was last year. This year has still been riding and riding strongly. He's a professional rider from Colombia. But we've got other professional riders in here, whether they are road specialists, climbing specialists, esports specialists, or mountain bikers, because Noren is a mountain biker from Scandinavia. He also rides the mountains well, and evident here with this pack of leading riders in this Category 1 race field.
Well, look at this. This is almost like a team pursuit. on the
yeah,
track.
and they're pulling them in, you know.
They're pulling them back. We're going to see them come back together again. And speaking of getting pulled back, Tom Gates has been pulled back. We saw him a lead on to the climb and then go clear. He's been pulled back in. The leading group of riders now contains Roncalli, Magat, Guarin. You've got in there Gates still. You've still got Magat in there as well. They are the leaders in category 3. They are currently trying to close down on the leaders overall. Andres Gutierrez is the leader on the road. He's at 42.8k with the chasers behind at 42.5, so 300 meters separating the leaders in category 3 from the leader on the road, and that is the leader of category 4. I'll tell you something, Gutierrez wants to keep going clear. He's got Hoyerson McMurtry on his wheel, Nogueira and Carvajal behind. It's another absolutely intriguing race down here as these riders continue to push. Hoyos goes over the top here, and with every rise and fall, we're seeing a change in the break and the makeup of these races and the composition of the groups as different riders play to their strengths or maybe suffer to their weaknesses.
Well, 1.8 kilometres to go for those leading riders in category 4. We're a little bit further down the field. This is the leading rider in category 2. Cusumano has broken clear of Spratt and Biarhead, but they are only 2 seconds behind, and they are continuing to push behind. So Simmons, Spratt, Biarhead, Kranich, Use are the riders, and Von Haren is in that chasing group as well, but Cusumano is the rider who's continuing to push on here up the climb, but they are working their way back here. Simmons is leading them through category 1 a little bit further down the mountain, 13% under their wheels at the moment. Noren, Knudsen, Van Diemen, Osborne, the 4 riders in your shot. They are the riders leading this category 1 race. There is a gap back now to the chasers, but they are not far behind. You know, it's a 4-second gap. And on a mountain like this, Matt, 4 seconds is nothing.
It is indeed, and 4 seconds is no distance when you're looking at it either. As we move in to another steeper section here now, Knudsen pulls up onto the wheel of Noren. Noren just kicking here, and you can just see they're going to have him back. I think he's just up the road a fraction, but I'll tell you something, this is going to be a really interesting finish to the race. Whatever happens, they treated us to a real spectacle here today, but I think Michael Knudsen is the rider who wants this the most at the moment. He has been very smart about when he's gone down the road. He's got to be one of the favorites when it comes to a climb like this, but Pablo Popovic and Jason Osborne both have big kicks as they come in, and it could well be that they are going to push on over the top.
I'm surprised because Popovic is not in this group. Popovic is 5 seconds back. He's actually between the 2 groups at the moment. So there we go. You can see the leading group 3 seconds down the road. No, Popovic is the rider making his way over. Cutler, Martins, Nair, 5 seconds behind Popovic. They are in the chasing group. You can see. So on the top right-hand corner of your screen, you can see this really clearly at the moment. We've got the riders away in the lead group. That's Knudsen's group up there. We've got Popovic pulling across, trying to make the junction. We've then got Martins and Cutler chasing, leading and pulling that group back to Popovic, and I think they're the ones who are going to make the catch. I think the group is going to bring Popovic back, and I don't think Popovic is going to make it to the leading group. So this now is a 2-group chase. We've got the leading group, Knudsen's group, out in front. They're looking like they're fracturing a little bit, and the chase group behind.
And it's Knudsen who is doing that fracturing that I'm spotted on your screens. You can just see he have really pushed up. You've got Noren up there. You've got Osborne. You've Van Diemen in here. You've adjusted. We said it could be Van Diemen's day today. Will he be the man who's going to take away victory? But at the moment, the man who is at the front is the rider with the shaven head. It is going to be Michael Knudsen, who, as we leave to go across into the final kilometre for our category 4 riders. At the moment, they're holding off Sergio Hoyos. Hoyos is not far behind. He's 250 meters behind the riders who are leading this race out. Gutierrez is leading, then it is Hoyos behind.
Yes, now let's just make this clear. Sergio Hoyos is leading the category 3 race. Currently in third place on the road is William Hoyas in the Category 4 race.
Yep.
Let's not get them confused.
That could get really confusing.
Gutierrez is pushing on here. It is looking like we've got Giraldo in 1, Gutierrez in 2, William Hoyas in 3, Rafael Montoya in 4, Ishmael Noguera in 5, and then further back down the road is McMurty. Now McMurty is not going to be in this for the top 5, but we are seeing the end banner of the climb for Giraldo. Giraldo going through that end banner of the Heritage climb first. He and Gutierrez are through, which gives them 400 meters to go. So with 400 meters to go, it is Martinez Giraldo in 1 and Gutierrez in 2. This is Category 4 on the Wahoo Sunday Race Club.
And they are absolutely flying. 15:45 the time of the climb, but this is the first look we get today at this technical finish over the top of the climb. The dip down and the run up is critical. It's going to be a run for the line. It's going to be race victory. First over the line will be Daniel Martinez Giraldo. He takes the win by fractions of a second as they came in and through. What a finish. They held off the chasers behind. The chase coming from Sergio Hoyas in Category 3. He is the Category 3 leader. Can he make it a win?
Well, as Sergio Hoyas pushes on for the Category 3 win, the top 4 in Category 4 separated by 1.7 seconds as Sergio Hoyas pushes down now on this downhill section. It's 4 seconds back to Roncalli. Roncalli is pushing, but Hoyas is going to make this as he sees the banner and he sweeps through to take the win in Category 3 today.
So 2 categories decided. We have Sergio Hoyos, his race time 1 hour 20 minutes 8 seconds. He comes through to take the win. In Category 3, you've got Njuki, you've got Acevedo, Roncalli, and Valencia rounding out the top 5. In Category 4, it is going to be Giraldo in 1, Gutierrez in 2, William Hoyos in 3. It's Rafael Montoya in 4 and Ishmael Noguera in 5. Quick reminder, of course, all these results at the moment are coming to you live here on the Wahoo Sunday Race Club, and they have yet to be verified.
Well, just under 1.5 kilometres to go for Pablo Cusimano, leading currently the Category 2 race. Just under 2 kilometres to go for our Category 1 riders, and Knudsen has attacked from Osborne and Norrin as Knudsen goes into the tunnel. But Cusimano's got company because Van Haren is there as well. So is Oliver Simmons. This is absolutely eyeballs out in both of these categories at the moment, and nothing is decided yet.
It's not, and you've seen that finishing section with the rise, the fall, and rise again to the line. Knudsen now giving best to Osborne, who came flying past him on the entrance to the tunnel, but as they go up on to this section of the climb now, they can see each other. They'll be know where each other are on that screen. The gap is 4 seconds on our clock. I'm not sure that is 4 seconds between them. It seems much closer, but it may well be that that little push by Jason Osborne that gave him that momentum through has come through. And we said earlier, Osborne and Popovic, absolutely masters of getting the momentum right on this climb. They are riders who know exactly how to ride and when to push. Jason Osborne now sitting at 7 watts per kilo. He looks to be holding off Michael Knudsen. He got a gap of about 4 seconds. It's now at about 5 to 6 seconds. It's yo-yoing up and down as their speeds change. That is your Category 1 leader on the left of your side. On the right-hand side, Category 2 is still a battle.
It is indeed, and Olivia Simmons is leading this now from Cusimano, but it's neck and neck, and they keep changing places. So Cusimano and Simmons 1 and 2. Von Haren in 3. Luca Bala from Category 3 is separating them. But boy, these two riders, Simmons and Cusimano, giving it all at the moment. Olivier Simmons is the rider leading this out now as he sweeps through this tunnel, this steep right-hand bend at 10%, coming up for 700 meters to go.
And the Category 1 leader, Jason Osborne's coming up behind them as well. You can see now Category 2 leaders are out of the tunnel, and it's Cusimano leading.
It's Cusimano leading Simmons in 2, and they're pushing, but Cusimano's at 6 watts per kilo. Simmons hasn't responded yet. 6 watts per kilo now coming from Simmons, a slightly later response. The gradient's at 13%. They know it's going to dip before it rises, and they are just coming in now to see the polka dot banner indicating the end of the climb and 500 meters to go.
So through the banner goes Pablo Cusimano. He's leading into the tunnel. He's starting to wind that pace up as the gradient reduced, but now it kicks again. He's got to kick over the top and into the descent to carry the speed as underneath the banner goes Jason Osborne.
Yeah, so Osborne is into the tunnel. Cusimano is coming out the other side. So Cusimano now leading this Category 2 race. Von Haren has moved into second, overtaking Simmons as Osborne we can see coming through. But it's Cusimano who's going to see the banner first in the Category 2 race. Von Haren coming through for second, and Simmons going to come through for third place in that race. The next rider we're going to see is Jason Osborne. Jason Osborne is going to take the win in Category 1. It's qualifier 4 on the Sunday Race Club for July.
So number 1, Jason Osborne, he takes the win for the Belgian Waffle Squad. Then it's going to be the UAE clan team rider Michael Knudsen. It's a second today for Knudsen. It's going to be Johan Noren who's stretching his back out at the top of the climb. I'm not surprised. Third place today. Pim van Diemen just off the podium. He's going to come through in 4th position. Vanden Eekhout is going to be in a real fight, I think, for 5th because he's got Tim Cutler and Mr. X100 and Martin Martins with him as well. This is going to be brutal into the finish because they can't relax on this downhill. It's about taking that momentum. Who's going to have the pace? Who's going to have the speed? Vanden Eekhout, Johan Noren, Sprat, Martins, they're all over the road here. Who's going to have it? It's going to be so close here. Vanden Eekhout's kicking.
Oh, here comes Cutler.
Oh, Cutler's going to have him. He takes him. He took him on the dip. And Martins has come round the side of Mr. X100 to take that. I think it was so tight. We're going to wait for those results to come up on our screens. What a race finish. Here we go. Well, let's get that confirmed. So, in 1, it's Jason Osborne of the Belgian Waffles team. In 2, Michael Knudsen of the UAE clan team. In 3, it's Johan Noren. In 4, it's Pim van Diemen from the Italian Gelato squad. In 5th, it's Tim Cutler. 6th, Bart van den Eekhout. 7th, Martin Martins. 8th, Mr. X100 from the UAE clan team. They are our riders in Category 1 so far. Now followed in by Zach Nair of the Italian Gelato squad, who are going to take that team competition. They've got 3 riders in the top 10, with Vidal Mer rounding out the top 10. Great racing, great action here on the slopes of the Heritage Climb here in Alula on the MyWoosh Sunday Race Club. Make sure you catch up with all of the results on www.mywoosh.com/results. They'll all be verified, and then we'll be running into our finals where we have our team competition and also our individual competition. It's been an absolutely amazing race, and I'll tell you something, it's been a pleasure putting words to the action. My name's Matt Payne. You can catch up with me at Matt Fix Payne. It's my pleasure to be in the studio with
Emma Martin, and you can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram. Do you know what, Matt? I think I need a break between now and next week because I'm not sure the final can be any more exciting than that.
Time to put your feet up, watch the end of the stage, watch the UAE clan team, UAE Emirates team even come in to the finish of the tour. And of course, the start of the Women's Tour de France with the UAE ADQ team. But from my whoosh, time for us to get ready for next week's finals. I hope you'll join us on Twitch TV or on YouTube for that. In the meantime, from myself, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin, from all the amazing team behind the scenes who make this all happen, stay safe, enjoy your riding. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.